Yo, what's going on? This is your host, Jackie Chisholm, back again with another episode of the Chisholm Sports Groove. That's the CSG for those of you who didn't know. Today we got a filled episode worth of topics to go through today. Like all the injuries that happened this weekend. Like going over some of the notable ones and things and what I think will be the repercussions of those. Definitely got to talk about King Henry's homecoming versus the Henry family Alley Cats today. Oh, definitely gonna go over the good, the bad, and the ugly, and Vegas baby. And we definitely got to talk about the NBA season and what our predictions are going to be going forward. Who I'm excited to see and who I like this year. Let's get it. Week 5 in the NFL, we definitely got a bunch of injuries that were catastrophic for some teams for this weekend, and you just going to have to deal with it, and it's going to have a next man up mentality. Definitely Juju Smith for going down with possibly a season-ending injury with that shoulder injury is going to be huge for Ben Roethlisberger. That's the reliable target. Even though he's had his struggles, ups and downs, that's somebody who he's played with for a long time and that he has a real high level of comfortability with. Joe Burrow last night ended up checking into the local hospital for a throat injury, and that's never a good thing. To see a throat injury on anybody at any position, just checking in, or somebody who after the game has to check into the hospital for an injury that happens during the game. If you've ever been injured while playing a sport, you know that the worst injuries you're going right there. Some of the lingering, more the hurting injuries, the ones that you feel more, are the ones that you have to go to the hospital later on in the evening for, and that's never a good thing as well. Man, Quintez Cephas going out with a broken collarbone, potentially having a season injury surgery and a 3-month recovery, missing the rest of the season is going to be huge. Detroit Lions have been right there in it. When we talk about them in Vegas, baby, a little bit more, you'll see that they have been on it this season. It's just for they just not getting in the win column. But if you're betting on them, it's been a good season. The Giants last night, on the anniversary of Dak Prescott getting hurt, that was definitely not a good thing that they were it went down. On the anniversary of Dak Prescott's injury last year, Week 5 in Dallas, the Giants took the brunt of all that bad karma. They lost Daniel Jones, Kenny Golladay, and Saquon Barkley all before the third quarter was over with, and it was actually a pretty decent game. They were right there in it for certain parts of it, and to see that those injuries and that derailed the rest of the game, helping out Dallas, in which we never want to see happen. That's definitely a terrible injury. We got to see definitely how bad the Max Williams injury does hurt the Cardinals. He was a really nice security blanket for Kyler Murray, but he does have a bunch of more weapons to use right now, and I can see them next man up and just using Rondale Moore or Andy Isabella a little bit more as a slot guy as well, using more of your running backs and coming out of the backfield, using them more to chip, using James Conner a lot more as a blocker instead of having a tight end as well. And the Jags, can they get any worse right now? Losing their offensive captain and Brandon Linder. I would get his name right on the first try, but he's an alley cat. But that is terrible. And we'll see how that hinders development of Trevor Lawrence going forward. Seeing that he does not have that number one center that can help with play call and just the blitzing and just helping with natural progression before the play. All right, guys. That's all I'm going to talk about with that injury stuff. We know what time it is. We got to get it. We got to win this. We got to win this weekend. It's time for CSG Titan time. What's up? All right, guys. Got a big dub this weekend over the Derrick Henry family Alley Cats this weekend, and it was just a good win overall for the Titans to come back, especially losing to the Jets last week. You definitely want to make sure that you win games that you're supposed to win going forward. Titans came out of this one 37, Jaguars 19. So it was not that close of a game in the second half going forward. Derrick Henry again put the team on his back in the second half and went fucking crazy. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Injuries and consistencies are the theme of this season going forward, and you gotta get over that hump at some point. You would think that it would take probably about 6-7 weeks to consistently gel with all three sides of all three phases of your football team and getting those all lined together so that they can play complementary football. But it's not gelling the way it should or way we feel comfortable as Titans fans to gel. You do like to see that Vrabel did get his first win against a rookie quarterback. That's a terrible stat to even say out loud to begin with. That he was 0-4 before today against rookie quarterbacks. But that's Titans football right there. It's just completely inconsistent. You never know what you're going to get. Play up to your competition, or you might play down to your competition. We do have some good news this weekend. Definitely Derrick Henry reigned supreme once again against his team. I do believe Shad Khan had to have sold Derrick this team at some point, because this is the Derrick family Alley Cats. There's once again 3 touchdowns, 130 yards. He did have a slow start. He did start for 17 carries. He had about a little over 60 yards, and boom, he turned it on in the second half though, just like you thought he would. Them 3 and 4 yard runs started turning into 6 and 7 yard runs, 10 yard runs. He did not have that big 30, 40, 60 yard down your throat run that usually ends the game, but that consistent 6-7 yards in the second half that kept the chains moving, kept us putting points on the board, was crucial for us. We ask so much of Derrick, and we just hope that he continues to keep on going. He's definitely on pace for it. I don't want to say it, but he's on pace for it. Shout out to Cam Batson, Chester Rogers, and Marcus Johnson this weekend. They played their roles perfectly. They looked really good. We missed having those three in, and I think that's really what that offense kind of needs as well, is those 3 guys that can give you multiple looks, that scat slot guys. That you got Cam Batson and Chester Rogers that can run a little wildcat for you. You got Marcus Johnson and Chester Rogers who are really good route runners and can win one-on-one routes, can get you that get open and get you 5-6 yards on third down when you need it, just like Marcus Johnson did a couple times in that game. You gotta love that aspect coming to the game. I think all great offenses not only has their big play wide receivers, their Julio and AJ Browns and Derrick Henry out of the backfield with a great quarterback. They also have those wide receivers that can always get you that first down. McNichols is doing the same thing as well. Ferkser stepped up a little bit more, but we do have a decent offense, and our passing game can be really, really good. Coaches, looking at you though. Kevin Byard, Christian Fulton, and Harold Landry showed out today on the defensive side. I feel like Kevin Byard definitely played that game we were asking for him, that he's been paid for since he became one of the highest paid safeties in football. He had that fumble recovery. He had 10 plus tackles. He had and that interception to end the game. That's exactly what we need out of that safety position. He was I feel like they finally put him in the best place possible. He is good as a deep safety, playing that deep safety role, but him in the middle, everything we seen yesterday was just amazing. He was up in the running game. He was up in the short passing game. He was playing man. He was up he did everything yesterday, and that's exactly what we hoped for. He played like the all-pro that we know he could. Christian Fulton definitely played up yesterday. You hate to see him go down with the injuries, but he played his ass off on the outside out there. I would not try him right now. He's got all the confidence in the world. It don't matter if it's the tight end. It don't matter if it's your best wide receiver. He's going to give him hell all game. Yeah. And Harold Landry, thank you, bro. Thank you. You finally showed up, putting a shit ton of pressure on Trevor Lawrence. That is exactly what we thought you were, and you played like it. I think it's going to continue the rest of the season. With 4.5 sacks now in the season, I think he's going to continue that trend. I think he's a 10-plus sack guy, and hopefully we get to see it out of him. We definitely need it. Definitely need it. Now we got to talk about some bad news, guys. The bad news was Tannehill definitely was efficient at times, but he looked very disrupted by the poor passing block. He was definitely disrupted. He looked disrupted by poor passing blocking, poor pass blocking. I don't know why it's such a tongue twister right now. Giving up 3 sacks yesterday. I think we're over 20 sacks now for the season. I don't know. I don't see how Quisenberry and Nate Davis, who really struggled, I feel like yesterday on that offensive line, especially Nate Davis, and Quisenberry's been struggling all year. I don't see how they make it, through the rest it's going to be. And for some reason, our predictable play calling was whenever you leave Quisenberry by themselves, they put 2 over there and let him think he's going to hurt him every time. I feel like Lawan played a good game, Saffold played a good game, and Ben Jones all did their thing out there. But you still there's 5 that makes up the offensive line, and that play calling has to help them out. On defense, missed tackles everywhere. We missed 100 tackles, just 5 on that one play to Laviska Shenault, in which he was bottled up all game. Didn't even look at him really all game. And then when they finally do, he breaks 5 tackles. Luckily, it was the Jags, again, who don't believe in success, so they just decided not to go back to that well anymore. But we cannot continuously miss tackles like that. Now, they did pick on Crookshank all game, and he missed a lot of key tackles. He missed a lot of backside containment. He missed a lot of gap assignments that he missed as well. That led to the big running game. But I clearly did not like that 4-3 look that we consistently came out there with, because Naquan Jones and Amani Bledsoe did not have good games. They did not do anything in the middle of that defense to disrupt. Even after Linder went down, they still did not consistently get any push. Big Jeff, I only seen him flash across that screen when he was completely upset. He was noticeably upset at something like a hold or an extra. But he definitely did not play up to what he usually does as well. 2 players I'm done with. Cut them. They're not worth anything. Rashad Evans, he's a liability. Like from the time he let Pat Mahomes run down the sidelines in the AFC Championship game, give him all the momentum back to the Kansas City Chiefs, and we ended up losing that game, to now when he's not producing. I'm sick of watching it. Like, he's not producing. He's late. What was the fourth down play when he jumps over the line? He jumps over the huddle to stop, I guess, to try to stop. And James Robinson, like, it goes like a yard around him, like, to fall in for the end zone. Like, what are you doing, bro? Stop. Just stop. I understand you trying hard, but that wasn't the issue. The issue was you didn't know what you were doing. And you still don't know what you're doing. Other person falls in that same category as Jeff Swain. Like, why did we bring him back? Oh my God. He whiffed on blocks. He can't catch. Like, what that's all tight ends we need them to do. If you can't block, then catch the ball. Nope. If you can't catch the ball, then block. He whiffs on one of the biggest busts out there and Kayvon Chase on. Like, this stop. Like, these guys, if we could get something for Rashad Evans, maybe I would like to think about trying to get a 5th or 6th round pick next year. But Jeff Swain, like, you'd be lucky to get like some boiled peanuts on him, bro, at this point. Overall, it was a great win for the Titans. Any win is a great win. So you gotta take it how you live, take it how you leave it. So we got the Bills next week, Monday night. I don't like the matchup because of what Josh Allen is doing right now, and the Bills are getting a lot of turnovers. Something Tennessee is allowing, especially Tannehill right now with the fumbles. But he's getting free rushes out of them all game. So I don't know if that's going to be if we're going to adjust the play calling, because that's been my issue all season, is coaching, is adjustments and play calling. But if we can, I feel like it's a trap game for the Bills, having like blown out the Chiefs last week up by 18 and coming into Tennessee, thinking they're finna get revenge. But we'll talk about it a little bit later on in the week. I think we definitely should have another episode coming up to go over next week's games and our lines for next week. So, final thought: Tennessee has to correct their inconsistencies. Injuries are going to happen, but we have to correct our inconsistencies. That's the one thing we cannot live with. Continue going forward. We could be one of the top teams in the league. We could be one of the most mediocre teams in the league. And at this point, it's going to come down to coaching. And so I hope Vrabel can do something about it. But I'm going to be optimistic. We're too early in the season. There's nothing that has been just die hard, damning on us so far. Good looking on the win, and good luck going forward. Good luck going on next week against the Bills. We're gonna need it. Tighten up. All right, let's go Titans. Yeah, Titans time. I actually like doing that. I don't know why. Especially if we win. If we lose, to the Jets, I don't really like doing Titans time. Because then I'm just all hurt and just sitting up here, butt hurt and not looking all good. Just I kind of want to have my face like I did last week against me losing to the Jets. But hey, one thing I should know better though, being that I am a mathematician, that I should get better at this betting and shit. So I should have known what the lines would have been just off a mathematical standpoint. And saying that, you know what time it is. Vegas, baby. Vegas, baby.
Vegas, baby. Vegas!
Yo, Vegas, baby. Yo. Yo, Vegas baby. This is the segment where we go over the good, the bad, and the ugly of the past week and the betting lines in the NBA, NFL, and whatever else we can fucking bet on at today. And me being the mathematician that I am, I definitely think that I should be better at picking these games. I want to use my friends sometimes. Let's start off this last week with the good. Tom Brady and the Bucks definitely covered their 10-point spread this weekend against the Fins. I did not have any questions against it. The Fins thought that we're thought to have a good defense, but Tom Brady's seen everything just about at this point, and I think that every week he just conjures in, somebody who's in college right now's body and goes out there and just defies all logic and time. The Cardinals covered their 5.5 spread against the 49ers this weekend. Kyler Murray looking like the MVP once again, going all up and down the field. You would like to see them score more, but the fact that they held Trey Lance to only 10 points, this definitely was a good game for their defense. Didn't give up too much, not knowing exactly what you want to get from a rookie quarterback's first true start. And offense kept him did just enough to keep him in the game. I feel like Kyler Murray's still on point to being MVP this season. Shout out to Dan Campbell and those damn Lions this weekend. They were a plus 10 underdog against the Vikings. And for some reason, another last minute kick loses it for them. You hate to see it. I love to see the emotion from Dan Campbell after that loss because they played their butts off. They've been playing their butts off all season. For one of the only teams on Madden that don't have a superstar or X Factor on their team, essentially, they play hard every week. I liked it. I liked them last weekend. I thought that they were going to definitely cover that spread because I don't like the Vikings. I don't trust Mike Zimmer. I don't trust Kirk Cousins. And Dalvin Cook was not playing. So, you knew the game was going to be close. All right. The bad this weekend was not that bad, but it was pretty bad. The Pats were -9 this weekend, barely coming out with a win against the Texans. I was shocked to see that the Texans were actually about to win that game. So they were in it the whole time. They actually had a decent lead, and the Patriots had to put their foot down and come back on that. You like to see Mac Jones faced with adversity, but you should not be down to the Texans at any point with Davis Mills. But Davis Mills, shout out. You played a hell of a game. I hope you don't play any more like that. Anybody who's betting on the Packers to cover their 3-point spread this weekend should be pissed. And you're going to be pissed at one person? Mason Crosby. You should be pissed at one person? Mason Crosby. And I feel like Mason Crosby let them be in the game that they should not have been in. I had that as one of my locks for the week, is that they were going to cover that 3-point spread. And a couple of field goals doesn't get like a late minute field goal to be lost in overtime. There's not that second one they lost in overtime. You kick those two, you're up 6, covering the spread. Damn it, my camera died. Talking about the Packers suck ass. Alright, to get out of the bad category, I definitely got to put the Chiefs in there for obvious reasons. That defense looked terrible. They couldn't stop anything last night. But we knew that going in, they didn't have the money. You got to pay Tyreek Hill. You got to pay Chris Jones. You got to pay Travis Kelce. And Pat Mahomes got $500 million. Like, you're going to have some holes in somewhere. You just knew that they were not going to cover that 7.5 point spread, but it shouldn't have been as bad as it was. I think that the Chiefs have a long road ahead of them going forward, and as a Titans fan, you love to see it. Alright guys, we got to definitely get into the ugly this weekend. Starting us off, we definitely got to talk about the Panthers. They looked good all year. You just knew that they were going to cover their 3-point spread against the Eagles this weekend. Nope. Fly, Eagles, fly. I like Jalen Hurts. I felt like if you put him in the right situations, he can give you what you ask for him. But you got to know what you're asking from him before you ask it. So, it's a good loss for the Panthers, especially since Christian McCaffrey did not play. They know that they have some work to do and that the media has been blowing a lot of smoke up their butts for no reason. They got a lot to prove, especially in the division with the Saints and the Buccaneers. You have to up your game and play to that level every week. I think it's going to be a good loss for the Panthers. They're going to come back strong, but it's ugly though, especially if you're betting though. That was a solid bet last week. You just knew at least a touchdown win. 6.75, 6 points, somewhere around that. You can spot the Eagles and still be okay. Not losing to the Eagles though. That's ugly. Definitely, John Gruden, you should be on this ugly list this weekend because y'all been flying high all weekend. Your strengths were you were able to rush the quarterback, you were able to run the ball and pass the ball. The Bears' weaknesses were that secondary, especially losing Fuller earlier before the season started, and the fact that they have a weak offensive line. And Vegas had the 5.5 point line on you guys this weekend, so you know that they were willing to give you more at some point. And good old Justin Fields, you're bear down, getting the win. You love to see it. You love to see it. I really don't like any team that's getting a lot of undue smoke blowing up their butt at some points. Dallas wins 2 games in a row, and it's time to start minting rings for this year. I do like to see the underdogs getting ahead, but the Raiders should have had that game this weekend. When we come back, we'll go over a little bit of my predictions for the NBA season and who's worse, Kyrie or Ben. Alright guys, let's get into his NBA predictions. I feel like we definitely talk about our predictions going forward with this NBA season because this is going to be a big one this year. I like what we see. I like the drama that's built up so far. NBA offseason was ridiculous. I think the Lakers had replaced all but 3 players. The Nets had a lot of good acquisitions. The Bulls going forward. What are we going to do in Philly that had number 1 seed last year? Phoenix is coming back with just about everybody this year. And I'm a Phoenix fan. I like the Grizzlies as well. But we got to go more into it, definitely. We'll start off by just who do I feel like is going to be the MVP this year? And that's a loaded question if you think about it. But who is the best player on the best team or means the most to their team at that point, throughout the rest of the season? I think that Joel Embiid should be the MVP next year. I think he will be as well. I think he will be. I think he should have been last year, and he will be this year. he just means that much. And when he's healthy, he's so unstoppable from all ranges. You can't put him nowhere on the floor and not get a bucket. He's still 7'2" with long ass wingspan, so defense is always going to come, especially when he works at it. Health is his problem. If he can play 75 games, then he's definitely MVP this year. If he gives 75 games. If he does not give 75 games, I feel that there's going to be somebody all-star that is going to lead their team pretty well. Jason Tatum, I think is going to be up there in names at some point. He's going to put a lot of points up this year. He's going to have to. I think Steph is going to be back in the conversation. I feel like LeBron definitely is going to be in the conversation always. AD, KD, James Harden is going to be up there as well because he's going to put up a bunch of assist numbers. Now he puts up 20 points and he's going to get 25 assists with that team. But Embiid's going to be my pick. Who is your first time All-NBA All-Stars? Well, I'm definitely a huge fan of Ja Morant. And I feel like he should have been last year for what he did last year, putting up the numbers he put up and the way that he plays. He should have been in it, like at least a reserve. But this year he's undeniable. He's going to be undeniable. The team is even better around him. They're going to at least be outside of that play-in game. They're going to be a 6-7 seed this year, maybe in a 5 seed. I hope to see them do better, being that I'm from Memphis myself. Because you don't see the Grizzlies just do well too often. But like, Ja is a special player. I love the grit and grind years, and I feel like and he's like fits right into the next chapter into that. If you go to the East, since Ja is playing in the West, I definitely going to pick Fred VanVleet this year. I personally was so shocked to see him sign with the Detroit Pistons, but knowing that Dwayne Casey's there, and he's had a great success with Dwayne as well there, he's going to show out. I feel like he could put 25, 30 points, 10 assists a night, every night. Knowing Fred VanVleet plays hard, does well, and again, if he stays healthy, he's going to be a beast this year. Who are your number 1 seeds? I feel like it's a 2-team race in the East and it's a 2-team race in the West as well. In the West, I feel like the Suns are going to be right back at the top, returning everybody that they returned. If the Lakers can get their shit together, like, they're going to be special this year. It's just the amount of defense, the amount of defensive awareness, offensive awareness from that age group, and they still have legs. They still have scoring. They still have defense. It could be pretty special, especially since LeBron knows he's not got that much left to do, and he's got to win these championships before he goes on to the next chapter in life. On the East side, I definitely like the Heat, and I like the Bulls. I like what the Heat did by bringing in Kyle Lowry. That's what's going to lead you to a number 1 seed. That consistency from the point guard position, but you just got to see it all put together. They have a lot of weapons, Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. You got like an alpha dog in there and Jimmy Butler. You got a big man, Bam Adebayo. So you got to see what you can get from your bench every weekend. But I like what the Heat are doing down there. They've still put together another good, solid team, like they do just about every other year. I know Eric Spoelstra have them really good coached, so you like to see what's going to happen next. I also think that the Bulls are going to be up there as well. Like, that team has what you call je ne sais quoi. They have a lot of playmakers at every position that play defense. So, like, what more can you ask for? You're definitely going to get a lot of easy buckets from the playmaking, and you're definitely going to get a lot of a lot of easy buckets from transitional defense as well. So those two teams are my teams. I did leave off the Bucks off this list, being a number 1 seed, only because everybody's going to give them their best, and I don't think that they are geared to taking that to an 82-game season. Who are you predicting to be in the wild card? Who are you predicting to be in the finals this year? Shocker here. I think I'm going to go with the Nets and the Lakers if everybody's healthy again. That's a huge if. I think that that's such a dull pick that I need to make another pick. So, boom. LeBron, AD go down. KD go down. Kyrie doesn't show up. Whatever. Who am I picking to be in the NBA Finals this year? I like the Phoenix Suns and the Chicago Bulls. Those are going to be my wild cards. I definitely think that those two teams, I like the Phoenix Suns and the Chicago Bulls. I think that those two teams are built from the bottom up. They've had their due time. Phoenix is coming off another year where they should have won, being a Phoenix fan. They should have won last year, but Giannis was a beast. Bulls are going to be the new hot ticket this year. Look for them to add a stretch 4, or like a 4, stretch 5, come in before the All-Star break to round out that crew, and some depth. But I like what they're doing down there. I definitely got to talk about my fun teams to watch this year. There's 2 teams I definitely want you to watch this year, if nothing else. I feel like the Grizzlies, not saying that I'm from Memphis, that I don't plug the Grizzlies as well, but Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson, Steven Adams is a trip always, Desmond Bane, they got some youth coming off that bench as well. Dylan Brooks is box office in himself, just off of how he takes the game so serious in the game. It's amazing to watch. He's like a Tony Allen without that good of a defense. But he plays, but he can shoot though. So hey, up on that. So we watching you, DB. Clark, BC, Brandon Clark. He's definitely a high flyer. They got some players that you want to watch this year, and coming off the success that they had last year, they're going to be hungry this year, and you're gonna love it. I definitely also need to approach any team LaMelo Ball plays for, and any team that Jordan is fucking owning. Enough said. Last year, I don't know if it was the play caller or the team, but they were so fucking exciting to watch just on the highlights alone. I felt like I was right there. These, Miles Bridges is flying everywhere. PJ Washington's flying everywhere. They've added Boat Knight and Kai Jones. They've added some depth there as well that can just fly around the court. You love to see LaMelo running that offense. It's amazing to see. You knew what was going to happen. They're not going to play that great a defense, but hey, they put up a shit ton of points. I think that's going to be fun to watch always. But, 7 seconds or less fan coming from me is take it with a grain of salt. Being that I'm a 7 seconds or less fan, coming from me saying that these teams that are going to run up and down the court and put up a shit ton of points is going to be fun to watch, take that with a grain of salt, but I love it. Alright guys, I got one more topic I definitely want to talk about today. I think it was on my mind, so I wanted to get it out and say it, just put it on out there. It's controversial, it is what it is, but I gotta ask everybody, which one's worse? Which one's the worst distraction? Ben Simmons or Kyrie Irving? On one hand, you have somebody who's been in the organization, they've put their time, effort, and process behind, to put them in the best situation possible. Not only that, they paid the man. They gave him $160+ million to say, hey, we believe in you. You with us. It's all guaranteed in NBA. So, when you sign, when we get offered, we believe in it. And he just wants to go. Like, he doesn't shoot. He doesn't play the offense the way the coaches and staff comes out that he doesn't like the GM, Daryl Morey. He doesn't get along with a lot of things that was happening towards the organization itself. I feel like he probably had his fifis hurt by the fact that they wanted to bring in James Harden. And you can't bring in James Harden and have Ben Simmons. There's two ball handlers. That's not going to coexist because James needs the ball in his hands and Ben needs the ball in his hands. So you were probably getting rid of Ben. He knew that. So, his feelings are probably hurt as well. And he wants to go. Now, that's selfish business. You look at Kyrie's situation. Is that selfish living? Because I'm not going to go into the vaccine at all and whether or not you should get it or whether or not, because I'm not going to disclose whether or not if I'm vaccinated or not. If we are talking and we're going to be together and we got business together, then yes, you need to know because that's personal to you, me, and you. But if you're watching the show, then shit, enjoy it. So saying that, isn't that personal to his teammates, everybody who's in the building, who's working, who's at practice, who's doing what they're supposed to do to make sure that they give the best chance to win this season by being there, and you're the one that's like, nah, I want to do more on my own, I want to figure out what I want, whatever. I mean, from what I understood, KD was not worried about it because he was like, hey, Kyrie is just he's gonna be here and he knows what it takes to be here, so he's gonna be here. We giving our whole lives up to this shit, our whole lives. We don't our families don't really like us like that because we don't spend time when we can. We them two especially do nothing but wake up and ball all day, every day. That's all they do. And you're going to give that that position and where you've been positioned, give up that chance to where you've been positioning yourself for something like that, what everybody else has already done. You're talking about is personal. It is personal to everybody in that building that relies on you to be there. Again, if it don't matter what it was, you signed to be there, bro. They need you, and they're looking at you to be there. If you were the reserve player, it wouldn't be a story. But you're number 3. You're one of the top 3 on the entire organization. You're over the coach. You're over the GM. You're over everybody in that building, and they look for you to eat. So I get Ben Simmons wanting to leave. That's business. And they're going to be compensated for Ben Simmons leaving. You're not going to get shit for fucking Kyrie Irving, though. You know what I'm saying? You're just going to miss out on, people just hey, alright, cool. I'm not going to tune in because whatever. Because why tune in if not everybody's playing? That's not what y'all sell to me. And that's not, and you knew that though. Don't sign up for a business and then don't come through. Hey, I'm going to give you, there's a 3-package deal that I'm going to sell you, but for the next 6 months, I'm not going to give you 2 of them. Why would you pay for it? Or why would you pay full price? And we all know when you don't pay full price, who's all hurt? So, Kyrie, that's you, bro. You a grown ass man. I just had this on my mind. Which one was worse? I deal with the Ben Simmons not performing on the court, but I can't deal with a motherfucker that can't get on the court. Alright guys, that's another episode of Chisholm Sports Groove. That's the CSG for y'all who don't know. I hope to see y'all again. My name is Jackie Chisholm. Y'all have a good night.
Brought to you by the Chisholm Channel and TCC Productions.